This is News 6 Tonight.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to our first February edition of News 6 Tonight.
Look at us.
It is Monday.
We made it to February.
We made it through this weekend is what's impressive because it was Arendelle this weekend from Frozen. It was so cold. And I'm not a person who complains about the cold because I like it cold. I wouldn't turn on the heat in my house if I didn't have someone else who lived there.
Though you do always, you say that, but you always complain about how cold it is at the station, nonstop.
You shouldn't be cold at work.
Why?
Because you're working. And you can't put on your robe to keep cozy. If I could wear my robe and slippers like I do to stay warm at home, then it would be fine. But you're in professional clothes here, and and we sit under vents. It's freezing. I'm Ginger Gadsden. Thank you for joining us, everybody.
Thank you. Well, didn't take her long to jump on that soapbox, did it? Glad you're with us. I am in my robe tonight. I'm Matt Austin.
It's not a robe. It's a jacket.
It's a little jacket. And let's bring in Jonathan Kegas. He is our meteorologist here at News 6.
Oh.
He called this cold snap, 10 days,
ago.
Week and a half before it ever came here. He said, just wait, you'll see. This is going to be an interesting one.
I always believe Jonathan, but this was really just something. Even your 10 to 15 day warning could not save some of our plants, Jonathan. No matter how much warning we got, they were not going to be saved.
Yeah, I think no matter what you did, in a lot of cases, it's just too cold because it's just a little bit of warmth in the ground that can save those guys. So yeah, it was certainly significant for sure. We had back-to-back days in the low to mid 20s. This morning we were back to the upper 20s. It was a wild ride again. We've talked about this at length. Coldest stretch, coldest morning since way back in 2010. And we have one more cold night, guys, before a very subtle, short-lived warm-up coming away by the middle of the week. But you mentioned it again. These were the lows that we had this morning. Still 18 in Tallahassee, 28 in Orlando. It was in the lower 20s in Marion County this morning. But, the longevity of the cold. Look, last week we talked about this, and I unfortunately don't think people listened because we had a ton of issues with the pipes yesterday. Ton. And it doesn't really just show if you're watching from the north, if you were snowbirds or anything like that, and if you now are transplants, 24 in Florida is a whole lot different than 24 in Massachusetts or Pennsylvania. The homes are not built to withstand 24 degrees, and the insulation is just not good. So that's the deal.
Yeah, it was interesting. One of my pickleball buddies was playing Saturday, and he said, hey, everybody make sure run your pool filters all night tonight, which was very important too.
Well,
that was a good reminder.
I can't tell you the last time I was a child, honestly, living in South Carolina when we left our water running in all the bathrooms in the kitchen, and we did that in our home over the weekend, Saturday night in particular, because you said that was the coldest night, and thank goodness we did because people who didn't ran into some trouble.
Yeah, neighbors of mine had their pipes freeze, and we ran everything. I put a hoodie over the inlet valve there, the intake valve coming into the house, and all that stuff just to give it them extra warmth. Our pipes thankfully didn't freeze. Some of my neighbors' pipes did. So it's when we talk about having to do this, we're not just wasting your time. We want to make sure that we don't have the issues that we ran into. And unfortunately, there were a lot of calls. I have a friend, we talked about this last night on the live stream, we were giving you guys updates, but had a friend who is a firefighter, or husband's a firefighter, and calls all morning, all afternoon about flooded pipes and things like that. So I don't think we're going to be dealing with that kind of cold tonight. It's going to be in the ballpark, but we are at least starting the gradual warm up. It was a wild weekend, a super impactful weekend with the cold.
It was crazy. And when that wind was whipping on Saturday,
oh my God.
Saturday was nuts.
Listen, you don't have dogs to walk, Matt Austin. And when they get a little pep in their step and they're like dragging you to get this
back
done,
in the house,
so you know something is up. I just want to say that, Jonathan, everyone's not going to always listen, but this is the reason we do the forecast for people, to make sure they are ready and prepared. But no amount of whatever would prepare some people, because they're just not ever going to listen, because we say, why do we need to tell people these obvious tips?
Right.
And for reasons that you just mentioned, that's why we do those stories.
There are a lot of news tips I hate.
I know. Matt hates it. The common sense ones.
If we're like, hey, you're going to be outside this weekend and it's hot, drink water.
Drink water.
We're not your mother. But some of these were very important for people. And
Very
folks who didn't
important.
listen now have to get new pipes.
But thank you for that.
Yeah. Good stuff.
Absolutely.
Thank you very much. We appreciate you.
Good to see you.
Good to see you too. Thanks for joining us for the show. Another crazy thing, I got this message from my power company. You probably got, are you a Duke or an OUC or
I think
what are
we're
you?
Duke.
I'm OUC. And they leave me this voicemail that's like, hey, you know all that power you pay for every month?
Don't use it.
Don't use it for the next couple of days. And I'm like, what are you, out of your mind? If there's ever a time I pay you and I want my power, you better make it happen now. So let's talk. I think we have a little full screen describing what sort of
That's like in the summer they tell you don't use your AC. It's like, I'm sorry, what?
It's insane. This is
What
your
am I
whole.
paying for?
This is your whole job is to just keep my stuff out. Please conserve your energy by putting your. Okay, so they said to set your
67
thermostat
was it?
68, I believe.
Okay, 68.
I was at 67. So, and then I have an electric car. They say don't charge that during certain hours.
You probably broke all these rules.
Yeah, I'm not. Listen, dude, you're not the police, okay? You're not going to come and arrest me if I use this energy. But some people were genuinely, like Julie Broughton was saying, I genuinely felt bad, so she put it above 68.
Just do what they tell you to do.
I don't know.
I keep mine that way anyway. So just.
I know you.
I'm
live
a good
in the
citizen.
Arctic.
You're welcome.
We did have somebody from Duke that we had a soundbite from. I'd like to play you.
We really haven't seen temperatures that are this cold since about 2010. So it's been over a decade since we've seen, the weather that's gotten this cold.
Out of his off, he said, hey, I want a piece of this.
Can I get in on this? I don't know what he's going to say.
Uh-oh.
Vegas, what do you have to say about this whole deal?
Wait a minute. We got to keep the 5-second delay. All right. Got it. Ready.
No, it takes a lot more to heat than it does to cool because we have the heat pumps here. So that's the issue. They can hold, like in the summertime, you can run your AC till the cows come home. But like the issue is that the electric strips that have to kick on to take over for the heat pump. It was too cold for the heat pumps. So either you had the auxiliary heat kick in, so you're going on and off, or you just straight up use emergency heat and use those power strips the entire weekend. And that's what the grid isn't built for. Because it normally doesn't get that cold.
Comment is directed toward me and my AC running ways. Because I said, that's like them telling you to don't run your AC. But the heat really is a problem.
The heat's worse. It's harder to heat a house, right, Kegs? Is that what you're saying?
Yes, exactly. Yeah, because you're taking the outside temperature and cooling it. It's more efficient to do that than the opposite. And then again, everyone's kind of heat strips kick in at the same time because it's cold outside. Whereas you can cycle the air conditioning. In the summertime, it goes on and off to keep it the temperature. But whenever the temperature drops, everything kind of kicks in at once. And that's why they ask for that time. And they kind of are the police, Matt, because if you didn't conserve, they would just straight up shut it off.
Wait, say that again? Say that again.
I said if you didn't conserve and they had issues, they would just straight up shut it off. Like that's what the rolling blackouts are for, to make sure they can keep the grid from going down. So they kind of are the power police. But thankfully, it didn't come to that.
They can't come and arrest me for using extra.
No, but your car's just a brick now because it's not charged.
Watch me get like a $1,500 power bill before you see this month.
I'm sure you won't.
Jonathan, thank you for educating us. I love that. His eyes lit up because he's like, let me help these two now.
No, I just wanted to, because it's a big debate. Believe me, the comments I saw on Facebook towards the power companies, you cannot repeat on this show or on
People
TV.
People get pretty annoyed.
It was wild.
I get it. But let's all work together and conserve, and they make more money the more. So they were worried about power outages, I'm sure. But I didn't like it. Didn't give me a good.
Sounds
feeling.
like Matt's
Jonathan
apologizing.
No, that's not an apologize.
They accept.
No, not at all. I'm gonna go. My heat pump's running right now, Jonathan. I hope you deal with that. Appreciate you. All right, let's move on away from the cold weather. If you have cold weather issues.
We'd love to hear from you.
Yeah, fill us in with your comments either on YouTube, Facebook. They all come in to us right here.
We'd like to know some of your tips, too. All right, we're going to switch gears to another story, and it is a serious one we've been following since this summer, since back in September when we had someone die on one of the roller coasters at our newest theme park, Epic Universe. And our investigators have been all over this story, getting you anytime there's anything new released, or they file these FOIA requests trying to get information to figure out what happened, because initially they were not very forthcoming with information. And the only reason we got a bunch of information is because we kept asking. And by we, I mean our investigator, Mike DeForest. Well, he has now gotten his hands on some of the text messages exchanged by some pretty high-level people who are important in the theme park world. And here's part of what he discovered.
About 90 minutes after Kevin Rodriguez Zavala was found unresponsive on a Universal Orlando roller coaster in September, an employee of the Florida Department of Agriculture and Consumer Services sent a text message to State Amusement Ride Inspector Mark Gonzalez. FYI, death called in on Stardust Racer. Appears to be a cardiac episode. Could be one hell of a day tomorrow. Under Florida law, large theme park operators like Universal and Disney are exempt from state oversight, something Gonzalez's boss seemed to acknowledge. I'm not sure if the Capitol will want someone out there, not something we normally do. But this is the first for this commissioner, so no idea what his intentions will be. A spokesperson for Agriculture Commissioner Wilton Simpson tells me Universal voluntarily invited the state to observe testing, and if the company had not, Simpson's office says it would have asked. In this text, a Universal employee tells Gonzalez, "Hey, Mark, if you'd like to meet us over at Stardust tomorrow at 10 a.m., that's when we will get started with our third party." Universal Orlando concluded that the Stardust Racer's roller coaster functioned as intended. Although not detailed in text messages, state ride inspectors concurred with Universal's findings. Mike DeForest, News 6.
Always interesting to see how these play out, because I like seeing text messages that they never intended anyone else to see. But what it shows me is that the state really has so little power when it comes to investigating these difficulties on rides. They basically have to be invited in like a vampire.
Yeah.
Hey, come on into my house and
they have to feel powerless, because when you're talking about Florida being, we are sometimes known, Central Florida, the theme park capital of the world, where so many people coming here, you have to wonder, it's like, okay, who is watching this and who is regulating it? And we got so many answers, but those text messages were very revealing. And of course, Mike will stay on top of this story because there's more to come.
As he always does. We're going to take a quick break. When we come back, we're going to talk about a high school morning announcements that had a picture of Hitler show up. What happened with that when we come back? Hey, welcome back to News 6 Tonight. Hopefully you are having a great Monday evening. Still a good chill in the air. Some stories come in and we hear about them and we're almost like, a lot of stories come in and they didn't really happen the way we hear that they happen.
That's why we go out and verify.
So we'll verify. Sometimes they're so crazy we're like, this can't be true.
Yeah.
But yeah, usually we try to figure it out. So Osceola High School, we heard, had a random picture of Adolf Hitler, Nazi leader, that guy. It's pretty much, I don't know, it's hard to say. I feel like all the streaming services are going to hear us say this and they're going to be like, oh, you can't talk about him.
Yeah.
But this was actually, we can't even say it. And meanwhile, it shows up on the morning announcements
randomly
at Osceola High School randomly. And apparently it was an attempt to rally some sort of pride. I don't know. So we have this community correspondent, Ashley Garrett, who is covering this story for us, trying to figure out why and how something like this could happen.
Osceola High School confirms to News 6 that, yes, an actual picture of Nazi leader Adolf Hitler did run in the morning announcements Friday. It was a picture like this of Hitler, but with his hand extended, saluting, and with words printed on the screen that said, "Good morning, Cowboys." That is the school's mascot. The words on the pic went on to read, "Today is January 30th. Friday, the school principal used the words "an egregious error" when confirming the pic of Hitler was used. In a statement, Dr. Elizabeth Kennedy says, in part, "The moment this was brought to our attention, the image was immediately removed. We want to be absolutely clear. This content does not reflect the values, beliefs, or ideology of Osceola High School." Dr. Kennedy's statement goes on to say a review is underway, adding, "We understand the concern and hurt this may have caused, and we remain committed to fostering a safe, respectful, and inclusive environment for all students and staff."
So weird story to talk about. Obviously,
it's uncomfortable to talk about.
It is uncomfortable, and
but it's
like,
important.
Obviously, it seems like it probably wasn't staff that made the decision.
Yeah.
There's still got to be some investigating to happen here and figure that out. But like, why a kid would choose to do that? I mean, kids, especially in this internet culture, I think a lot of highly inappropriate things
are funny sometimes. Yeah, and
that's sort of how you get a laugh.
Yeah.
And maybe they thought that, but who knows? I really don't have a lot of information.
I don't think
on
we
it.
can delve into the psyche of the kids who did something like that. But you can only hope that if they are reprimanded, then they understand why that would be offensive to so many people. And maybe there's something that they could learn from that as to why that was not appropriate.
Maybe we don't joke about 6 million people dying because of what they were born as.
Yeah, that's, oh boy. Okay, so we're going to switch gears to another story. This is talking about recreational marijuana has been a hot item, and people have been trying to get it on the ballot for a long, long time. And this is a story that's gone back and forth today. First, they're saying, okay, it's not going to be on the ballot at all, because it didn't get enough signatures. There was an investigation about these petitioners going around, and so many signatures got thrown out. But then news comes that, it's not over just yet, and it might actually be something that could be on the ballot. But it turns out that 22 amendments are not even going to make it.
And that's all of them.
That's every
Which is pretty
single
rare
one.
that every one of them gets.
Yeah. So so this comes after the state said this proposed amendment, along with those other ones, did not get the required number of signatures. Right. So Florida's Attorney General previously asked the Florida Supreme Court for an opinion about the marijuana amendment. Now the Supreme Court wants to know whether it needs to even give an opinion, because these amendments will supposedly not be on the ballot. But the marijuana petition, just so you know, it needed 880,000 signatures for the measure to be on the 2026 ballot. This is the number that they received, 592 signatures. So it didn't meet the threshold.
Right.
So then there's a spokesperson for the group behind the amendment, Smart and Safe Florida. They tell one of our investigators that the state's declaration on this was premature. So we believe the declaration by the Secretary of State is premature, as the final and complete county by county totals for validated petitions are not yet reported. So then you bring in the Attorney General. He's investigating claims of all the fraud that may have happened there. So let's hear from James Uthmeyer.
We're looking at a lot of fraudulent signatures. I know that, hundreds of thousands, were being verified as false signatures. People were calling in saying, that's not my signature, I didn't submit it. I think this highlights the danger of these petition gathering processes, things going on the ballot where, you have fraud in the election system.
All right, and it's important to note that back in July, a new law took effect in Florida, adding more regulations for these ballot petitions, requiring signature gatherers, the people who come at you with the clipboards, that they be registered with the state and go through training. So
we're getting two different stories here. Smart Safe Florida saying they got 1.4 million. So they think that they have some margin to deal with here, but Uthmeyer is basically saying, well, those aren't all validated. In fact, most of them are getting thrown out. So they say they'll have more than enough to make the ballot. So when we first heard this from the state, it sounded like it's over. It seems like there's going to be a court battle.
There's going to be a back and forth with that for sure, because it is a big, it's a big issue.
Well, law enforcement has to deal with so much these days, right? I mean, they have to deal with human element, but apparently we've been covering these stories where they're having to deal with wildlife encounters. In fact,
remember the frogs from last week?
Yeah, somebody called because this lady said these big, huge frogs were in her apartment.
Her words, big and huge.
And so a deer breaks into a house, goes right through the window, and then it's just sliding all over. You ever seen a deer on tile floor? That's what it looks like.
It's like Bambi on ice.
It's like, if you had 4 legs and 4 ice skates. The poor thing is just struggling here.
It's just trying to do its best.
It can't even get its head off the ground. Pretty big deer.
Yeah,
and then look,
they're taking care of it.
They show it a little love. They get it on the back patio.
Here's some turf.
This thing is, it's like, was it born yesterday? It cannot walk. It can't even walk on the grass.
That was artificial turf. Now it's on
all right, grass. Now it's on grass. It's safe. Anyway, deputies calmed the animal down. They guide it back into the backyard, and eventually it ran into the woods.
I don't think it's a baby. He's kind of a big.
No, it's a.
It just got lost.
I think it's just a lady deer, a doe. They give it a little scratch, give it a little love.
A lady deer. That's
doe,
great.
a deer.
It's really a female deer. Yes.
Well, good on those officers.
I know that they do a lot of things, and that's one that I'm happy that they were able to help.
Me too.
Everything out.
All right. Well, coming up,
Yeah.
What?
I
Can
I
you,
love this story.
Can you storm a court twice? If you walk out there,
Premature
run,
celebration.
and then the game's not over.
Get it together, guys.
That happened. We're going to show you how it happened coming up.
Welcome back to New.
Yeah, you
I'm
wanna,
new to
come
this.
on.
Yeah, welcome back to.
I thought you were a
News.
professional.
That was your first mistake. I love this story so much because it just shows you how people get caught up in game excitement. And I love basketball. It's one of my, like, we don't talk about sports. You guys talk about football and all these other, you talk about pickleball, but basketball is the one sport that I really.
You do like basketball.
I do like, because you can see the players, you can see their expression. In football, they're all covered. You can't see. This isn't really about why I like basketball.
Thank you. Yeah, this is Ginger's segment on why she likes basketball.
But UCF fans had quite the experience. They stormed the court after beating number 11 Texas Tech.
Second court storm of the season for the UCF Knights. They beat Kansas earlier in the year. Well, those are the points of the afternoon. Final score, UCF wins it a second time today. The Knights faithful will storm the court here at Edition Financial Arena. It's their third straight win against Texas Tech. They beat them last year as a top 25 team, and now they beat them this year as the 11th ranked team. Final thoughts, King.
They deserve to, with the way that UCF attacked the offensive glass and dominating the rebounding category. They deserve to storm the court. But if you're Texas Tech, you should not be worried. You have to bounce back because Monday you have a big-time test.
Both of these teams facing top 25 opponents next. As you mentioned, big Monday. Texas Tech returns home from Orlando to play Kansas in Lubbock, and the Knights go on the road to face number 10 Houston in Houston. Well, that'll do it for us. For King McClure, I'm Rich Hollenberg, out to the Red River rivalry. Second court storm of the season.
This should be taught somewhere, because you can't get a bunch of grown people to get together and agree on anything, much less after we've declared victory.
We can't even enter an airplane correctly these days, us adults. So, yeah, I'm impressed with the college kids doing that. I'm very
awesome.
impressed with UCF's basketball team.
That was a big win.
They are a tournament team this year if they can keep it up, and maybe they can make some noise in the big dance.
They certainly made some noise Saturday.
That's did.
That's for sure. All right. Thank you so much for joining us, everybody. I hope you get a chance to stay warm. The 70s are just around the corner.
That's right. Have a good night.
Bye.
Bye.